I know the Badgers are pretty bad, but don't give up on Bama quite yet. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. Alabama 38, Wisconsin 14. These teams have a brief history. They played, of course, in Madison last year. Tide took it away 42-10. And then they were much better programs, at least on the Wisconsin side, of course, in 2015. Bama eventually won the national championship. They faced off in Houston in one of those neutral site NFL stadium games. Derrick Henry ran wild. Wisconsin was a much better program at that point. Final score 35-17. This one looked similar in that even though Wisconsin is light years away from what they were as a top 10 to 15 program in college football, more like a top 60, they're pretty bad. It's just an athletic difference here. We've got different levels of athlete on both sides of the sidelines here. And really what this came down to is on the Wisconsin side, they had a backup quarterback in play, Danny O'Neal. Now, I don't know that Billy Edwards would have made much difference, but he is better. He's more mobile. He provides a threat downfield. The Maryland transfer is Wisconsin's starting quarterback. Danny O'Neal, 11 of 17, and he got off to a bad start with an interception after Wisconsin's stop of the Bama offense on his first pass. So Danny O'Neal was not up to the challenge again. $117 through the air, 2 picks, and 1 touchdown when it was way too late. The Wisconsin offensive line, one of the stalwart positions in the history of college football, especially since the early 1990s, and Barry Alvarez is currently a mess. The Wisconsin offensive line, we'll get into the details in just a second, but this Wisconsin team is just not good. Athletically, just nowhere close to what Bama brings, especially the big difference that you could just see was the Bama wide receivers. And of course, they are 2 of the best around, and maybe 3 of the best if you go Isaiah Horton level. Number 3 against the Wisconsin secondary was just a bit of a joke. Then we also see the distinction made here by Ty Simpson. He's developing. He was in rhythm. He was looking mighty sharp in this one, and the Wisconsin defense is not bad. Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams. We talked about Isaiah Horton, of course. They're the top 2 guys for the Tide. And Williams is off to a slow start this year. 5 receptions, 30 yards through the first 2 games. Bernard was actually the much more productive receiver down the stretch for the Tide last year and out of the chute this season. These 2 would combine for 4 touchdowns on the day, 229 yards, as Bama was way too much in this one. Although, on the first drive of the game, Bama drives it, but they come up with a 4th and 2 and an incomplete pass, so Wisconsin holds right there. But as I mentioned, Wisconsin gets the big stop. They've got great field position. They bring the offense out onto the field, and Danny O'Neal instantly on the first play throws an interception to Bray Hubbard. O'Neal 11 of 17 for $117. Ty Simpson went back-to-back on pass plays on third down conversions to Ryan Williams. The first one was a thing of beauty. The second one was basically just a little pitch and catch. Anyone could do it. But the first one, Simpson definitely waited for the coverage to break a certain way and Williams to clear the coverage and dropped it in there nicely. Jeremy Bernard was the first one on the scoreboard for either team on this day. 4th and goal play. He took the end around for the touchdown to the pylon, 7-0 Tide. And then Wisconsin last weekend, they showed the numerous number of snap mishaps against Middle Tennessee without starting center Jake Renfro. He was forced back into the lineup even though he was not anywhere close to 100%. They just had to get a capable center to snap the football just to get the play started because it was a mess for Wisconsin last week. Their offensive line in total a mess due to youth, injuries, inexperience, and just flat out poor play and not developing the offensive line play like vintage Wisconsin teams. Renfro, as soon as they did the series in which they showed the bad snaps from last week, showed that Renfro was back in play, not 100%. Lo and behold, knocked out of the game just a few plays later. Wisconsin down to its 3rd-string center, and it was ugly. Again, the Wisconsin defense hung in there and stood in there to a certain extent, especially against the ground game. They held down Bama, and the Tide tried to run the ball in the first quarter, and then at one point, Kalen DeBoer just thought, you know what the heck, let Ty Simpson sling it. these wide receivers are way too good for this Wisconsin secondary. And Wisconsin got off the field on a 3-and-out, but Mason Rieger roughed the passer on a 3rd down. And just Wisconsin can't make those kind of mistakes in this type of matchup. And on the very next play, Simpson hits Jeremy Bernard for a 43-yard touchdown, and it's 14-0 tied. See ya! Because that was one of my big concerns for Wisconsin on this day, beyond the wide receiver defensive back matchup, was simply how are they going to score? I just didn't see them scoring. We saw the output against Miami of Ohio, and then Middle Tennessee, where it took them, even though 42-10 was the final, it took them a long time to get going, score points against that team. I just figured, how is Wisconsin going to score in this game? Why did I take Wisconsin in 21 points? I cannot tell you. That was my stupid pick of the day, because I just figured Wisconsin's going to score like 6 points in this game. They did score 2 touchdowns eventually, but did they really, in fact, score 2 touchdowns offensively? Bama bombs away in the second half. Ryan Williams, 5 catches, $165, 2 touchdowns. We've been waiting for Williams to break out and become the player that he was last season. Wisconsin did have a glimpse of hope after the kickoff return of 75 yards for the touchdown. But again, Bama way too much in the air. Ty Simpson, add this to his bag of tricks, escapes a sack, and I mean Houdini escape a sack. Guys all over the place bouncing him around like a pinball, and he escapes, runs for the first down at the Wisconsin 41. And then right after that, it was a bit of a joke once again. Ryan Williams catches the ball near the sideline, puts his foot in the ground, leaves 2 Wisconsin defenders in the dust, 41 yards for the touchdown, 35-7, 38-14 the final, as O'Neal tacked on a touchdown that did not matter. Simpson's final numbers, 24 of 29, 382 through the air, 4 tutties, no picks. And yes, Bama way too much. Held that what used to be vaunted Wisconsin rushing attack, 34 carries for 92 yards. Bama outgained the Badgers 454 to 209. Again, 38-14. What sets up in the future for Wisconsin is what is considered the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten, but it starts in conference play against Maryland. Need I say, they have to beat the Terps. And then for Bama, they take on Georgia in Athens next week. Remember, this was a barn burner, 29-28. Bama coming back to win it in Tuscaloosa last year. This should be a good one. Bama, Georgia, then we'll see that next step, that next phase of development for Ty Simpson, the Bama program, Kalen DeBoer. Let's see if they really have something. Let's put away Florida State. It counts. It means something. This victory doesn't mean a ton. Wisconsin, one of the 5 worst teams in the Big Ten, but Bama, Georgia, we'll see what the Tide has and if there is still truly hope for 2025. Your thoughts and comments down below. Keep in mind, we got a Bama channel. They go live Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and also post-game. And we do it all right here at the Voice of College Football every night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and post-game Monday through Saturday. See you then.